Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a long-awaited Best Brew Ever. This is a new season, season 3. I haven't really been doing a lot of quality home brewing lately, and I've been kind of focusing a little more on some of the other channels or series on this channel. But I have not forgotten the people who started subscribing to begin with, the home brewers, and I am still home brewing. I just haven't been really doing anything significant or really all that interesting to really post anything on here. But you know, it's tax time. I got a little cash. I have a new purchase, a new setup to the home brew here, home brew house. It is this bad boy. I have myself a mash and brew, or mash and boil, that is. The Brewer's Edge. I was gonna do an unboxing when I got it, but I kind of got interrupted. I had my daughter was asleep in the other room, and as soon as I started to record, she woke up and kind of broke in. The things I have been brewing is not really something that I felt was interesting for the show. So, but that's fine, you know. So, taking care of her, I wasn't able to, you know, show the unboxing, but I didn't want to wait just for, you know, an unboxing video. I had to check it out. I just got it. I think I ordered it on Amazon. It was about 300 bucks, and I have some problems with it. You'll see in the video, because I recorded the first, you know, the inaugural brew session with it, and there, you know, like anything new piece of equipment, there, you know, you gotta get the hang of it, and there's ups and downs, and you'll figure it out. I already watched some videos on the mash and boil, and there's plenty of videos out there. This is, you know, just the my experience. I'm sure everybody's have different experiences and different likes and dislikes, and some things matter a little bit more to other people, but all in all, I will have to say that I like it. I'm glad I bought it. It was worth the 300. I was gonna get the grain father, but it's 1,000, and you know, of course, it comes with the pump and all the hoses and the chiller and the Bluetooth setting and all that. But really, I mean, I already have a chiller. You can buy a pump for it. I even seen on Amazon you can get like some kind of like a water heater pump or something like that for like 24 bucks. I don't know how well it works, but so far, you know, I've only done one brew with it. I haven't seen really the need for a pump. A lot of people say about circulating the mash, because, you know, the temperatures are different because it's heated from the bottom, and it was kind of drier at the top, but I just filled it up with or filled up a pitcher and kind of dumped it on top. But I probably see a little bit more in the brew day video on that one. It's been a couple weeks now, but I had the pleasure of attending the 1-year birthday of Centerpoint Brewing. Can't believe I ain't wearing my Centerpoint hat. Centerpoint Brewing Company. That is on the east side of Indianapolis. It was their 1-year anniversary, and it was cool. They had like a little brew fest, little beer fest out there. I think it was like 14 breweries, and I think there was like a meadery and a distillery there. It was $35. All you can sample, I guess, until you start acting dumb. And I think it was from like 1 to 5 or something like that. It was very cold, which was not so pleasant, but it was called, the name of the beer fest was called Frigid Digits, so you kind of expected that. But it was very cold, and they had some tent warmers out there. There was tents with space heaters in them, or kind of like garage type heaters. I don't know, like the chameleons or something like that. But so that helped a lot. But really, I mean, we were having a great time. I really didn't notice it. The one thing I did regret was not taking gloves. And like I told my dad, as me and my dad went, you know, the name of it is Frigid Digits, and neither one of us took any gloves. But luckily, he didn't live far from there, so we had somebody drop off some gloves to us, and we was good to go. Had a great time, sampled, you know, some great beers. I'd say out of all the beers, there's maybe one that I really didn't like, but you know, everybody's got their own thing. But that wasn't the Center Point beer. I can't remember who that was. But that was kind of like an experiment. I don't know if it was experimental, if they always have that. It was like a chocolate, cinnamon, hot pepper beer. And you know, I know a lot of people kind of do that. You know, they try to use like Mexican hot chocolate spices, and they want to, but it just, you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it don't, and that did not work. I had like a vomit flavor to it, and I don't know. I think maybe I don't know what they did with it, but all Center Point beers were great. They had made some Russian Imperial Stout, and I think maybe some barley wines. I can't remember, but they had some high alcohol ones on there, as well as their you know, their flagship beers, which they're all good. I think we're just gonna go ahead and get into the brew special here, the little mash and boil first episode. I've got a lot of ideas, which I always do. I always say that, but now right now I have a little bit of cash, so I probably will be making some more homebrew videos. I'm getting ready to keg a pseudo Irish stout. You know, we got St. Patrick's Day coming up, and I got to do something. I don't know. Last year I think I did Irish stout and a red, but I kind of did this pseudo, like I said, Irish stout, because it wasn't really very well planned out. I just kind of used what I had. I was trying to get rid of all my stuff, so I had some pale chocolate and like some dark extract, and you know, some two-roll, and I don't know, I just kind of put a bunch of different stuff in there. I think I even put some corn sugar in there to dry it out a little bit, bump up the gravity. So I didn't take any readings on it. I don't know what it's gonna be. It fermented for like 2 weeks straight. Like, I mean, the airlock was constant, so I don't know what's going on with it. I took a little sample of it. It tasted great. Tasted Irish stout-esque. I mean, it didn't have it. I didn't put any oats or anything in it, so it doesn't have that kind of creaminess that you think of with the Irish stout. But I think it tastes good. I don't think I'm having any problem drinking it. And I think on the upcoming episodes, I'm gonna, especially with this new system, I'm gonna kind of get a little more back to basics and try some different things. I really want to kind of master ingredients, I think, maybe this season. I really want to get my mind wrapped around grain flavors and hop flavors, which, you know, I guess I'm always kind of doing that whenever I make a beer, a brew kit. You know, I kind of say, oh, could that hop taste like this? And sometimes I need to take more notes. I'm not a good note taker. I kind of do everything mentally, and then I don't really remember everything. But so that's another thing I got to work on. But like I said, start basics. I'm going to start with base malts, and that's really what I've been doing a lot of anyway. Because like before I got this tax check, I was broke, and I was doing like trying to see the cheapest beer I can make, and I was doing like base malt and corn sugar and I think some nugget hops, because I bought like a pound of nugget for like 13 or 16 bucks, I can't remember. So I've been using nugget and everything, and I kind of went a little too heavy on the corn sugar, and it just tastes like wash. So but now I got money for ingredients. I'm not gonna kind of cheapskate it so much, and I'm really gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do base malts, you know, different Maris Otter, of course, 2-row, 6-row. I can't remember what was the other one that I was reading about. It's like Northern something, I can't remember. And so I'm just gonna do different beers, kind of the same style, with base malts, and just see what, you know, see what the flavors they give me, and kind of take notes on that, and then start working my way, you know, different hops, as well. You know, not just, you know, it can sound kind of boring, but that's kind of like a learning thing for me, and hopefully other people who are getting into it, they can learn from what I'm doing, and definitely learn from my mistakes. Don't overdo, if you're trying to do a cheap brew, don't overdo it on the corn sugar, which is probably anybody could tell you, or don't use corn sugar at all. But you know, I'm always trying to find different ways to. I gotta find out for myself. You know, you can read it all you want to. A lot of things I'm just that way. I gotta find out for myself. But I think, you know, with those beers, I also have a little more extravagant type beers I'm thinking about making. So I'm planning on the tap. I have 2 faucets already. I think I'm gonna do some builds. I'm gonna try to make something so I can then buy another faucet. So I want to do 3 faucets, and I would like at some point, to constantly have 3 beers on tap, while I have give me a little more time to let other beers ferment and kind of settle out and all that kind of stuff, and make better beers. So I'm gonna do some, you know, base malt beers. I'm also gonna do some whatever I'm in the mood for beers, you know. I'm thinking about doing a Gruit, which I've been thinking about for a long time. I don't know how much I'm gonna like it, but you know, just ideas all over. So we'll see what I can get to, when I can get to it. Like I said, I mean, if you're watching the channel, you can see that there's other series. I do a couple series with my daughter, and it's starting to get warm out, so I want to start working on my car, and so add some to the lowrider series. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, check out the Mash and Boil first beer on there, and hit your notifications, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe so you can see what else I got going on here, because I never know what I'm gonna post. So make sure you hit the notifications, so you can see when I do post something, and hopefully it's something that you're interested in, and maybe it's not something that you're already into. Maybe by watching some of the stuff that I'm doing, maybe you'll get into it. So that's the cool thing about YouTube. Alright, thanks a lot. All right, the first problem I'm having already with the mash and boil is the lines for the gallons of strike water. It goes from 7 to 4 gallons, and my strike water is 2.5 gallons. So it's not a big problem. I can easily measure that out, but it's just something that would be nice if they would have had that on there already. Now that I have my 2.5 gallons of strike water in the mash and boil, I'm gonna go ahead and set my my grain bucket in there, and I'm going to plug it in and put the lid. Now turn it to 1600 watts. Turn it on. Now turn on the temperature control. It automatically starts you off at 162, so you hit set, and then you can change the temperature you want with the plus or minus. I'm going to dial it down to 160 and hit set again. We're at 160. We're going to mash in, and just like any other mash at this point, just pouring in our crushed grain into our hot water. Usually do a little bit at a time and then mix to make sure that we don't have any dry spots, any dough balls, and make sure that all that water gets incorporated into the grain, so I can extract all the sugar I can from it. Now at this point, I can tell that my mash is really dry. There's a compartment kind of underneath the grain bucket where there's a space of water, and I really feel that I didn't have enough strike water for this mash overall. But a lot of people recirculate it with a pump. This is all I did. I just used a pitcher. I think it said a half gallon at a time if you have problems if it's too dry. So I just ran out a half gallon of the hot water underneath of the grains there, and just put it on top. But even after I did that a couple times, even though the grain wasn't dry anymore, I just felt like I needed more strike water. Maybe in the next batch. We'll see how this came out. If it converted everything all right. I'm hopeful. I could tell I had conversion, but I don't know quite how much. Now after I got my mash going, I'm going to dial it down to 150 for my saccharification rest. Just hit set and then dial it down to 150 and set a couple more times. It's already hot, so it's gonna take a little bit to get down to where you want it, so you might want to stir it to get it there. It's all trial and error at this point. An hour later, here we are, setting the temp again to 218 for my boil. Same procedure. It's set, dial it up to 218, set again to hit 0 and set again, and now I should be bringing it up, and I am going to sparge. Now I already had calculated my sparge water according to the book, and I had that heating up to 168 on the stove. Now that my grains have been draining, I take a gallon at a time of my sparge water and just pour it over my grain bed. Before, when I would use my igloo coolers to mash, I would use like a strainer or something like that to sparge. This time I just poured it straight in. I don't feel like I had any problems, like I had any holes kind of made where the sparge water was just pouring through and not rinsing the grain actually. So I really didn't feel bad about this method. I might change it up next time. I might even change the way I sparge next time. I'm just, like anything else, I'm just trying to figure out what works best and just keep trying different methods. Now the next problem I had was with the grain bucket up on top for sparging, you can't see the sight lines on the brew kettle itself, or mash tun. I guess it's both, but you can't see where you're at. And even with the flashlight, it's full of steam and I can't see where I'm at. So I just kind of said, well, I did the calculations on the sparge water, so I just said I'll just dump it all in. Big mistake. As you can see, I overshot the 5.5 gallons. I still have the grains dripping in another bucket, probably another gallon dripped out. I had to take some of this wort, put it on the stove, boil everything for like another hour until I could get it down to where I wanted it. After I got that under control, my ounce of Mount Hood goes in. We got a nice rolling boil. I think I actually boiled off a little too much. I had to add some water in later to make up the difference. So if I had it all to do again, definitely take the time and watch what you're doing with the sparge water. With this thing, it's hard to see, but I would just have to keep double checking what I was doing with that. Now that my 1 hour boil's over, I got my wort chiller in place. It's not the best looking, but it was cheap. I made it myself pretty much. And I got it hooked up to the faucet. Cold water goes in, hot water comes out. Drops the temp good. Keep stirring the pot. And now that's cooled down to where I want it. I got hooked up to a little hose there for my carboy. Here goes, flip the switch, and out comes the hopped wort. And it's kind of good like this. The way that hose was kind of bent is creating a lot of bubbles, which is, oxygenating the wort, which is good. Little harvested US 05. Sanitized stopper for the carboy. Sanitized airlock. Sanitizer in the airlock. Top on. Click.